Bible proof God is not a Trinity. This is a series that we're putting together multiple verses over multiple videos looking at proof from Scripture that God is not a Trinity. And we're looking right now at the various visions in the Bible. And I will tell you, there is never a vision that God showed to anyone anywhere that began by any type of deity or something that we see as representing deity that was from start to finish three persons. So, for instance, the very first vision that God gave that we have in Scripture that I see as a vision of God in heaven is Jacob with his ladder, and Yahweh stood at the top, or the all-cap Lord. And so a single deity representing the one God to Jacob. Sometime possibly around the same time frame, maybe earlier, maybe later, the book of Job was written, in which Job chapters 1 and 2 both speak of, it may not be seen as a vision, but it speaks of the throne room in heaven, speaks of Yahweh on his throne in a day when the sons of God, or the angels, the spirits, came to represent themselves before God, and Satan was there. Chapter 1, verse 6, chapter 2, verse 1. And so, once again, a throne scene, no mention of a second or third person with God, co-equal, co-eternal. And that's back in almost both of those nearly 2,000 years BC. And then you have some years later, Micaiah's vision around 870 BC about King Ahab. And he writes and says, I saw Yahweh sitting on his throne and all the host of heaven standing by him on the right hand and on the left. No mention of collateral, co-equal, co-eternal persons with the one God that's on the throne. Thereafter, we have Isaiah, somewhere around 748 BC. And in Isaiah 6:1, he said, I saw the Lord sitting upon his throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. And he calls him Yahweh of hosts, and the King. This is the God of the Old Testament that he's seeing on the throne. No mention of second or third persons. Ezekiel chapter 1 into chapter 2, one on the throne, no co-equal, co-eternal persons. Daniel chapter 7, the last vision of the heavenly throne. The Ancient of Days is sitting on the throne, one representing deity. And in verse 13, the Son of Man approaches. So there's not a vision in the Old Testament that ever shows us three eternal persons or an eternal Son. No Trinity.